What is going on, everybody? Happy Sunday, June 8th, 2025. It is another weekend of professional wrestling, another WWE PLE in the books. One of the big five. Money in the Bank came to us this weekend from Los Angeles in the Intuit Dome, home of the NBA's Los Angeles Clippers. But not only that, we had NXT and Triple A collab on Worlds Collide. Both shows were Saturday. We're here today on Sunday to recap both. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell, vote on the poll on all of the live streams this past week. And we started back again tomorrow with Monday Night Raw, which we'll get into a little bit. Jay Uso going through World Heavyweight Championship. But cannot do the show alone. Back with me are the Fleck Zone family members that we appreciate having here. Kicking things off, Iowa's favorite son, the one, the only, repping that Chiefs Kingdom. And he's repping those Cubs as well. Put your hands together for the one and only, the show you love, the Juggernaut Show.
What up, Byron? Yeah, we had a big weekend of wrestling.
I didn't know this table could break.
I still didn't know that table could break. I still didn't know that. That's crazy. And the branded tables now too. But yeah, you guys can keep up with my channel right down there, the Juggernaut Show. Got a lot of wrestling content coming out. Got some reactions this week. I have a vlog towards the end of the week, so definitely we want to stay tuned, and also go follow me on all my social media platforms. Go follow me on X and Instagram at TheTrueJSB.
Appreciate you being here. And of course, last but not least, the Flex Zone statistician, the right-hand man, the workhorse, Mr. NXT, Hollywood Leo, the young OG himself, the bouncy one, the only, Liv Morgan, number one. It's the one and only guy, gaming, horror, pro wrestling. You can kick it with him each and every day. Kicking it with Leo.
Yo, what's good?
How you feeling?
Feeling good. Looking forward to talking Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide as well. So a lot of wrestling to cover as we prepare for another week of wrestling. So it's only up from here.
How can they keep up with you, my guy?
Yeah, my channel is Kicking It with Leo, you guys. I do wrestling content. More content will be on the way. I got some reactions this week. Me, myself, Rated M, and Wolf will be talking a little bit of Money in the Bank, a little bit, not too much. And we'll also be predicting the 2026 Royal Rumble this Wednesday. So you guys stop by and tune in, because we're going to be trying to put our fantasy booking caps on and try to predict things months in advance. And maybe we'll do a reaction once we get close to the Royal Rumble next year, or maybe after Royal Rumble next year, and see how spot on or how well off we may have been.
Make sure you guys check everyone's channels out. It is linked in the description as well. Vote on the poll, hit the bell. Let's get into it. Because on Saturday afternoon, Leo, I'll start with you. We took a trip down to Mexico. How'd you feel about Worlds Collide, man?
Honestly, this might be a hot take. I thoroughly enjoyed Worlds Collide better than I did for maybe Money in the Bank. That might upset some people, but I feel
agree.
like just the matches, at least the matches that we got, were very entertaining. The Fatal 4-Way comes to mind. The main event between not El Grande, I almost said El Grande Americano. We'll talk about him later. But Vikingo and none other than Chad Gable. I think that match was really, really good. The chemistry that those two had with each other was really good as well. The Fatal 4-Way may have probably been my match of the night, just because of all four guys involved. Like, it just shows that if given the proper creative and the proper story and given the proper build for something, it can be really special. And those four guys killed it. All four guys. Ethan Page killed it. Ray Phoenix killed it. Like, my twin, everybody says, none other than Javon Evans killed it in that match, and Laredo Kid killed it as well. All four guys are definitely probably going to be one of the high talking points for me of the show.
Jugs, how you feel about it?
Yeah, I thought Worlds Collide was really good. You know, for not knowing a lot of some of those Lucha Libres were. It was like kind of like a breath of fresh air, and it was like cool to see some like different styles and stuff. The like kind of to start out, it was cool seeing Mr. Iguana, coming out there with the
Hey,
puppet and with the iguana puppet. That was
be
pretty
honest,
cool. And apparently he got some merch on WB Shop. I might have to go pick me up a WB Shop shirt of Mr.
I was just
Iguana.
about to say that too. Apparently, they got some WWE Shop merch for him. Hey, might just have to.
And also Lola Vice and Stephanie Vicor, that was awesome seeing them tag. The spots
In
that
that
they were doing in
spot,
that match.
yes, sir.
You guys know the spot I'm talking about, the devil's kiss. That
That
was
Lola
awesome.
Vice had a little arch in her game right there.
Mm-hmm. And then also, the fatal four way, everybody did great in that match. So that was some good stuff. And then of course the main event. We knew that Chad Gable's really good in the ring, and Vikingo like that was some of Chad Gable's best work that we've seen in quite a while. So that was really good stuff there. But yeah, overall, I thought Worlds Collide was a really good show.
Yes, the main event I thought was really, really well put together. Kind of wish they wrestled a little bit longer. There you go, Jugs, for you.
Yeah,
You want a little.
nice.
There you go.
Another gear. And her who's she pointed at? She just pointed at Booker.
Here we go.
She just pointed at
Here we
Booker.
go. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the Legato match was good. I didn't expect them to win. So where's that going with that story? We even saw Dominic and Liv there. So the integration of the main roster. Tiffany Stratton was there. Io Sky was there. Damian Priest. So many people of Latin descent as well. Street Profits, as you mentioned. Bunch of the celebrities, of course. So I thought it was better than Money in the Bank too, Leo. But interesting there. Before we get into it with Money in the Bank, Judge, we spoke about it real quick. I'll start with you. WrestleMania confirmed to go back to this April 18th and April 19th, Allegiant Stadium, 2 straight years in a row. We will not be going.
Yeah, WrestleMania going back to Vegas. I'm not, like that whole promo video package that they go, go like, oh, if you could do, better things like happen. What they say? What did Triple H saying that exactly? He said, it's better twice, or whatever. Like it was terrible.
I don't know.
Time to double down.
Time to double down, and like really. I mean, yeah, they were making killer ticket sales. And they sold a lot of stuff there, but like I don't know, I just don't like them going back to Vegas. Like, can't we? I like when they go to new cities. I just hate that it's confirmed going back to Vegas. Yeah, it's gonna be expensive as hell to go to Vegas, but yeah, it's probably a TKO move and like Triple H move. Actually, I think it's more on TKO. And of course, TKO's in debt and all that, with all the sponsors that they have to do, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, I'm not a fan of them going back to Vegas.
First time since 1988, 1989. So this will be held in the same venue there as well. You kind of see the logo there. So it'll be interesting to see because, yeah, I like it. But they're getting $7 million just to do SummerSlam. Apparently, they're getting more money from Vegas, so they're going to go wherever the money is. Leo, how do you feel about this? Because unfortunately, people like us may never afford a WrestleMania anytime soon.
I mean, it kind of sucks just because you, myself, Jugs, and pretty much many others that may be listening to this or whatever the case may be, we're looking forward to potentially going to WrestleMania with it being, in New Orleans, and I think New Orleans probably would have been a little, pricey, but it wouldn't have been as pricey as you would probably have for a venue such as, Allegiant Stadium for WrestleMania. So I think it kind of really does suck, honestly. But like going back to the whole TKO thing, TKO, a lot of the board members of TKO happen to reside there in none other than Las Vegas. So I kind of see what they were going for. Me personally, the tickets are going to be crazy. I expect WrestleMania 42 tickets to be way more than maybe WrestleMania 41 was. But we will see as things do, tend to play over the coming months. But it kind of sucks as an average fan, and I know people don't like Vince McMahon, and I don't like Vince McMahon either. But the one thing I actually preferred with the Vince McMahon era is their ticket prices. When you had ticket prices for all these shows, they made it to where it was affordable for a lot of people to go. Whether if you were a rich person, a middle class person, or bottom of the barrel, they made it kind of somewhat fair and attainable for anyone to really go to these shows. But now with TKO taking over and the whole endeavor and stuff like that happening, it's more harder for anybody to get hands on tickets these days. Like for SummerSlam, for example, $40,000 for tickets to sit floor. And the crazy thing is that those tickets sold out, which is literally wild to me. Like, and I feel like that TKO is going to see this, and they're going to continue to up the ante. They're going to continue to up the prices because people are buying these tickets. I don't think it's going to get to a point where they decide to go down until they notice it may be at a price that people are not willing to pay. Like, this is 40,000 is a car right there. 40,000 right there is a whole car right there, honestly. And like, look at us. And this goes for myself, for Jugs, for Byron, as three people who love wrestling and want to go to these shows. But at the end of the day, we got rent to pay. We cannot be going to these shows. We still have adult responsibilities here. We can't blow the bank to go to one of these nights of WrestleMania and then come back broke as a joke. Then how are we going to feed our kids now? Or family? Yeah.
He got kids, people. He got kids.
He got kids like Heath Slater.
Yes. WWE saying F those kids, unfortunately, Leo.
Exactly. That's exactly.
You know, John Cena has to. He says he's been taking care of those kids. He has to. He's as we.
He's been raising.
He's been raising us. Yes. That's what he said.
Well, speaking of raising, they raised up the Money in the Bank briefcases sponsored by Cash App, as Jugs talks about the corporate sponsorships. Women's Money in the Bank, Jugs, I'll start with you. Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley, Stephanie McCoy, Julia, Naomi, Roxanne Perez. Kind of came down to two women. Naomi, but over the past few weeks, led by Leo, the steam and momentum of Roxanne Perez, whom I think is great and will be a world champion and will be a future Money in the Bank. Maybe a bold prediction right now. If I had to pick a Money in the Bank women's winner next year, she may be my pick. Yes, over Stephanie McCoy. Yes, over Julia, because I think they'll probably get world championships before then. But nevertheless, Naomi wins. I've been calling for it since Mania. Mm-hmm. It comes true. We were all pretty much in agreement with it. Jugs, how'd you feel about the match?
Yeah,
right outcome though, right?
Yeah, I thought the match was really fun. It seems like throughout a lot of the match we had, it was Roxanne Perez and Julia. They were like double teaming a lot throughout the match. I mean, there was even one point where, no, actually, there was one spot in the match where Rhea Ripley, she was trying to move on the ladder, and it kind of looked dangerous. But Roxanne Perez, she like reversed it into like a Hurricane Rana, and I thought she was about to hit her head on the ladder. I got, oh no. But, thankfully she didn't get hurt that bad. And then she did this like nice moonsault onto Rhea Ripley. That was cool in the match. And then Rhea Ripley, she even got buried under a whole bunch of ladders throughout the match. I even liked the dual bridge ladders, and we had two like code reds or pop rocks. That was pretty cool between Roxanne and Alexa Bliss. That was pretty dope in the match. What else do we have? Oh, we saw the Devil's Kiss on Rhea Ripley on the ladder, on a bridge ladder. That was pretty cool. But it basically, it like you had, pretty sure it was Rhea Ripley and Alexa Bliss. They were fighting on the ladder, and then Naomi came, knocked over the ladder, and she went up there and grabbed the briefcase. I was kind of expecting more to happen, with how Naomi won. But at the end of the day, Naomi, she's your women's Money briefcase holder. So we'll see if she's successful cashing in. But yeah, overall, it was the right person who went over here.
Leo, how you feel about this? First black superstar to win a world title at WrestleMania, first black SmackDown Women's Champion, first black Women's Tag Champion, first black woman to win Money in the Bank. Naomi doing it, and this heel turn has been one of the best in the industry this year.
I mean, I I think she deserves it. I think if anyone was to go out there and win it, it was her. Even though I may not have picked her to win, but if she did win, I was gonna be okay with it, and I'm okay with it. Um, there's a story there with her going after the briefcase, and it made sense for her to win the briefcase because if you think about it, Tiffany last year won the briefcase, and what did Tiffany do? She tormented Naomi with that briefcase. When when 2025 started, or towards last year, I think. Was it last year or this
It
year?
was this year. Yeah, it was like the first SmackDown
It
of the
was like
year.
the first SmackDown. We had Naomi versus Nia. And what happened? Tiffany cashed in and costed Naomi that opportunity to become champion. And that's ate away at Naomi ever since. And this was a full circle moment for her to win the briefcase and now get her get back on Tiffany for everything that happened when she won it. Now, what you do is you can have her potentially cash in at Evolution. We know that all women's pay-per-view, they're gonna want to try to make that show feel important. They're gonna try to give it some moments that people could potentially remember. And what better moment for people to remember than having Naomi cash in on that show? Because I can see a situation where we end up getting Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton for the women's championship. We know we've been seeing those two kind of going at it in recent weeks. We know that we could probably get a potential title match between those two anyways. I see them doing that, and maybe we do what Tiffany did to Naomi, but Naomi does it to Tiffany and also screws Jade Cargill because we know that story is looming as well. And then maybe coming out of that going into SummerSlam, we can get the big three match with Jade Cargill, Bianca, and Naomi for the women's championship, which I think is going to be really, really good. However, with the match, I feel like it was kind of sloppy in spots. Like, I understand at the same time, I try to give it the benefit of the doubt because a lot of these women have not really been in ladder matches, or it was their first Money in the Bank ladder match. So kind of going into that, it's a different feeling than having like your one-on-one matches or maybe your triple threat matches. It's a different element that's been added that maybe these women may have not been able to fully prep and prepare for. So I take that into consideration, but I think Naomi makes the most sense. If Roxanne would have won, I think would have made sense as well, just because I mean there is a story with her in Judgment Day. Maybe we'll be going with a different route with that, potentially getting that. I felt like if they were to give the briefcase to Roxanne, I feel like they probably would have, to me personally, gave it the best opportunity to capitalize on Roxanne as an ultimate opportunist type of briefcase holder and a potential champion as well. So, but I do think Naomi really deserves this. She's like the tweet just said, she is Black history. She is Black history. Continue to show up and show out. And you also got to think Naomi's been in more Money in the Bank matches than probably anybody you could think of. She has the experience in her favor here, and I think that's ultimately what gave her the win here and that gave her the edge going into this.
This next match we'll breeze through because I do agree with you all. We may see a cash in. If not Evolution, I say definitely by SummerSlam because we may get another one tomorrow on the men's side, which we'll get into. But how do you guys feel about now with Naomi as Money in the Bank? Who maybe is your early prediction? We know King and Queen of the Ring is starting up this week. Jugs, real quick, and Leo, who's maybe your prediction since we know, I look at it like this. We know a SmackDown superstar has Money in the Bank. Do we get a Raw superstar on the women's side now, women winning Queen of the Ring? I'm saying Rhea Ripley right now is my early pick. Leo, then Jugs, real quick.
I think kind of seeing what you just said with them giving the briefcase to a SmackDown star, I do expect the women's wrestler to end up winning from on the Raw side to win the Queen of the Ring. And then maybe for like the men's side, since we see somebody from Raw, a SmackDown wrestler wins that. Um, Rhea Ripley, I think, you would think that probably would make the most sense, but I just don't really personally want to see that. I can see WWE doing that just because she is the biggest, star and the biggest draw in the women's division. But at the same time, I think you can do other things with her and continue to build her momentum, and I think she'll be fine. I mean, if they are going to be doing a fatal four-way, honestly, you could still keep her looking strong, and she could still be eliminated without taking the pin. So I think she's going to be in a situation like that. If I had to make a bold prediction, I would say maybe a Liv might be my early favorite. It depends on what the matches end up looking like, but right now I do think Liv makes the most sense for me to win it, only because like the whole caveat of this is whoever wins gets a shot at SummerSlam. And where is SummerSlam? In her none other than her hometown of New Jersey. So I do think for the WWE side of things, I think they probably would. They do see her as a top star. And I think they should give her a top spot at SummerSlam. I think that seems like where they end up putting her in the big matches. It seems like for the last couple of years. I mean, last year she was in a world title match. The year before that, I think she was injured at that point, but the year before that, she was champion. So they always end up putting her in a world title picture when it comes to SummerSlam. So I could see them potentially following it up on that once again this year.
Jugs, any thoughts on the woman, real quick? King, Queen of the Ring.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you, Byron. I think right now it probably has to be either it has to be Rhea Ripley or even Liv Morgan. I think those are the two top candidates to win, or maybe even Roxanne Perez. Throw her in there. But I'm going to say Rhea Ripley right now. But we're going to have to see these qualifying matches how they're they're going to be playing out. But I'm going to say Rhea Ripley right now.
Let's speed run through this real quick as Dominic defeats Octagon Jr. after they had a little fisticuff at Worlds Collide. We knew Dominic wasn't losing this match. It was like a squash match, really like 5 minutes, if that. What the hell is Dominic doing with that IC title? Because we fact checked it last night. Leo told me he's only defended the title against Penta at Backlash, then the next night on Raw against Penta again, where JD McDonough returned. He has such a great moment. He's one of the hottest heels in the industry. And it's like now, like with Cena, like with the New Day, like with various other heel turns, WWE, it just falls flat. And Dominic is just in the middle of nothing. Yeah, we know it's going to be him and Finn, but it's not interesting right now. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. This match right here. I mean, we all knew that Dom wasn't going to be losing this match. I mean, it was cool, Octagon Jr. Showing out. He did a lot of high flying moves, did a lot of like kind of different corkscrew planches, which was pretty cool. But ultimately, in the end, Liv Morgan, she came in, distracted Octagon Jr. and then that led to Dom, hitting the 619 and then doing the splash and retaining this championship. Okay match, nothing crazy, but yeah, Dom's still your champion.
Leo.
I mean, this match really wasn't too special in all honesty. I feel like it kind of just felt like a throwaway match. That's just my personal opinion. I just feel like there really was no reason that you had to put this on the card other than just to fill time. Um, Dominic wasn't going to lose. I mean, I kind of agree with you saying, Byron. I think the whole thing is like at a standstill right now, but it's kind of one of those things where we are in the post WrestleMania drought still, kind of, but we're still kind of slowly transitioning into that SummerSlam time where I feel like WWE tends to pick things up again. And I think with the reports that are going around right now with Dominic defending the title potentially at Night of Champions, I do expect the rumors to be true and having Finn turn on Dom at that show, and then that's where we start to see further cracks within the Judgment Day with Dom being the first one outed, and I think maybe we either have Liv be turned on at the same show, depending if she's going to be on the show, or maybe they do this at SummerSlam. I see them kind of doing something along the lines of that, where they have one get turned on at Night of Champions and the other gets turned on at none other than SummerSlam. I think that's kind of what they're going to do. I think, yeah, I agree, Big Reg. They're kind of in that slow build to the Judgment Day breaking up, which is kind of a lackluster title run for Dominic. I was happy. I was really happy. I was one of the main few people clamoring and calling Dominic to become Intercontinental Champion at WrestleMania, and he ended up winning it. And it just seems like as time and time again, WWE proves it's like they'll put these wrestlers in these positions, and it's like they thrive to an extent, but then you just pull the plug and really not try to run and go all in with it. Because I know that W is capable of going all in with certain wrestlers, and Dominic is very young. This is an opportunity they could be capitalized on trying to potentially make him one of the faces of the future of WWE. Like, he's only, what, 26, 27? He has potential to be the future, one of the future faces of the WWE. And it's like, they're not really going all in, no pun intended, to the show that's coming up in a couple of weeks. But I think, Dominic is kind of just in a rut right now. I feel like once this Judgment Day story, takes off, hopefully, and they don't do an Austin Theory and Grayson Waller type of scenario where they just keep dragging things on for 2-3 years and not have it pay off to anything. So I hope that they do get to whatever the point that they're trying to get to, and then we can be off to the races, because Dominic is really good in that ring, one of the very best in the ring, period, point blank. Has all the potential, and I feel like it's kind of just being wasted, with him just kind of being on the sidelines, and him kind of, even as champion, still feeling as an afterthought or just a background character with the Judgment Day storyline. It seems like Finn and Liv are like the forefront of it, and then you kind of could throw Roxanne in there, and then it's just like everyone else.
Yeah, we'll see. And Eric, I'll talk about that a little later when we get into Raw, because I think she may be involved with someone on tomorrow's show hitting an Evolution for those tag titles. So we'll see. Next match, in my opinion, was the match of the night as Becky Lynch challenged Lyra Valkyria for her Women's Intercontinental Championship, and Becky Lynch is the new Women's Intercontinental Champion. No surprise here, but I think people need to realize, I'm not the biggest Becky fan at times. I know Leo isn't. Sometimes she can be cringy. But when you look at the four horsewomen and you look at the landscape of women's wrestling, of what Becky has done over the years, and as of late with Lyra, she's been very unselfish. She has helped create a potential new star in Lyra Valkyria. She has brought prestige to this women's intercontinental championship. She is doing some of the best work of her career with this heel turn, and she's only making a bigger star of Lyra because they're going to have a third match. And Lyra's probably going to win the belt back, but now Lyra's going to be kind of getting that new Becky Lynch momentum. And when Becky can fade back, Lyra's a new star. She's not beating everybody in every match she's in like Mercedes Moné, or she's not like Charlotte, going after title after title, or Rhea. She is doing some great work. Leo, she's your new women's IC champion.
I kind of called Becky Lynch winning. And people think that I have something against Becky or hate Becky. I don't know how many times I have to keep saying this. Out of the four horsewomen, she is like one of my favorites. Period, point blank. The thing that I don't like is the booking at times. That is usually the problem I have with Becky. That is why I never really liked her for a while. It's because of the booking in some scenarios and stuff like that. But like you said, Byron, she has given back. She's gave back to Lyra and helped made her a bigger star. I like the fact that they allowed Lyra to step out of the shadows and be more of a focal point of the shows, and let her be on the mic and let her cut promos and actually have an engaging character that the fans can get behind. You looked at 2-3 months ago, yes, we can all say she was good in the ring, but that was it. That's where the line stopped and ended, right then and there. But now, not only she's good in the ring, she can actually cut a decent promo. And if you want to be honest, I think she killed Becky Lynch in the promos. Yeah, Becky Lynch had her a few, shots here and there, but I feel like overall, Lyra was killing it on the microphone. She was killing it with the promos when it was just her and Becky. And you gotta admit, Becky and Lyra just having banger after banger after banger matches. The match that they had in NXT, really good. The matches they had at Backlash, really good. This match, even though it's for my personal opinion, it was not as good as the one at Backlash. Backlash is still my favorite match, but this is a great sequel of a match to the first one. That's the way I see this. And like you said, people were looking at maybe Bayley coming back. I do think Bayley will come back. I think the way I see it playing out, she's going to come back at Evolution. I think her coming back with the all-women's pay-per-view, you have Becky maybe retain, then you move on and maybe do a triple threat at SummerSlam. And then maybe from there, you can have a one-on-one singles feud with just Becky and Bayley, and then maybe you can move up potentially none other than Lyra to the main event scene and have her challenge for the world title. Because I think Lyra and Stephanie could be a really good match. Lyra and Rhea could be a good match. Lyra and Io could be a really good match. Lyra and Liv could be a good match. I think any one of those matches you can put on any show, and I could think could be really, really good. So I'm looking forward to see what Becky does with the Women's Intercontinental Championship. I'll make a bold prediction. I think if they build up the story correctly with her being a heel, I think you built up none other than Stephanie Valcour to be the one to take the title, and then you build up yet another star because she's beaten Becky. Now you have both Lyra being made a made star because of the feud with Becky and her getting that win at Backlash, and now you have Stephanie being made a big deal because she beat Becky and won the Women's Intercontinental title, and you can have one brand with Stephanie as your Women's IC champ, and then we have Julia with the US title, and letting those two NXT call-ups do their thing and help elevate those titles going into the rest of this year and going into next year's WrestleMania. So I think overall it's a really good thing. I did catch a little bit of the press conference that when Becky was on there, she did say that when she came back, Lyra was not her target. Her target was Liv Morgan because she took her out for all those months. So her original plan was to come back and get back with, which was Liv Morgan, which would have made sense. But she's also said that Lyra disappointed her, and then she had to put her in her place, and that's kind of where we are now. So I could see if they do turn Liv backface, maybe we'll revisit this. I don't know, but I think we are going to be in for a great run potentially with Becky Lynch as your Women's Intercontinental Champion.
That's a good question, Scott. I don't know what your third match will be. I'm curious to hear what you guys think, but I
Maybe
don't
like an
think it'll
I
be.
Quit
I don't
match.
think it'll be Hell in a Cell. Maybe
I
an
think it'll
I
be like a
Quit
no DQ
or no holds barred. Jugs, how you feel about Becky Lynch winning the title?
Yeah, I came to no surprise that Becky Lynch won here. Both these girls, from the in ring standpoint in this match, was really good. I really like that leg drop that Lyra Valkyrie did on the outside, in the match. That I think that was really good. Even that top rope manhandle slam. She even hit it. She even hit it a couple times on the outside as well. It was just a really back and forth match. Like they both have really good in ring psychology. And then of course, Becky Lynch, she cheated to win. She threw Lyra Valkyrie into the ropes, and then did that old devastating way to win. Got the good old roll up victory, and the new women's IC champion is Becky Lynch. Yeah, it was a good match, and then after the match, we had of course, Lyra Valkyrie. She raised her arm. She didn't want to do it, but she raised her arm, and then she was like, "Hey, you know what?" She was like, "I'm not done there. You need to put the towel around my waist." And then she got German suplexed, and I thought that's maybe where Bailey was going to come out. As maybe she was trying to put it around her waist. Maybe Bailey would have came out and stopped her. But maybe who knows? Maybe like you said, Leo. Maybe we get her at Evolution, or maybe even could get her tomorrow night. I don't know.
I was gonna say maybe tomorrow. I think maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think tomorrow's gonna be a lot of things going on tomorrow.
Yeah, but
And then you, like
it
you
was a good
said,
match.
with especially with the whole Bailey thing, I think the one thing I do like is even though Lara lost, they didn't make her look, like a chump, like you how you treat your babyface all the time. They treat them stupid. Lyra, on the other hand, she didn't care. She didn't care if she lost it. She still got to get back. She still laid out Becky, and that makes her even bigger because she's made herself as a star. Like she's not gonna back down from anybody. That I like. If they can continue this story, what they're doing right now, I'm all for it. But if they do, like people been saying, what the third match could be, I say if it's since we've been having 2 matches so far, let this match be 2 out of 3 falls. I think that'd be a great stipulation.
Especially if the title's on the line, the prestige of the IC title, like you said, if a Stephanie comes and takes it to Roxanne, it'll be even greater than that. Men's Money in the Bank. Jugs, your boy, Iowa's favorite son, and the Dangerous Alliance, as we had a lot go on in this match, by the way, which we'll get into. Seth Rollins, LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, Andrade, Penta El Grande Americano. Real quick, just to sum it up, Seth Rollins pretty much acts his Dangerous Alliance, Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed, to come out. Then we get the New bloodline of Solo's boys, JC Mateo, still hate that name, and Jacob Fatu. Then we get Jacob Fatu doing a pop-up Samoan drop. Then Jacob Fatu, well, I guess we got to get rid of this soundbite. I don't know if we can still use it anymore, but while we have a chance to use it, we might as well use it at least one more time.
Like a Fatu, the Samoan werewolf. I love you, Solo.
That's not the case anymore.
He says he hates Solo Jugs, puts him through the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
Seth eventually wins Money in the Bank. No Roman, no Sami Zayn, no CM Punk. What did you think of the match? And the winner, which I know caused a lot of distinction, no LA Knight, which I predicted. I thought LA Knight might win and cash in Monday, but I was wrong. How you feel about the match? And Seth Rollins, will he go on to cash in maybe tomorrow?
You know, I'm a big Seth Rollins mark. You know, as he got, you know, he's Iowa's own. But to be honest, I'm going to be honest. Seth Rollins did not need to win this match here. Because, like I've been saying going into Money in the Bank, he's a walking Money in the Bank briefcase. You know, he can get title shots whenever he needs. But, I mean, it does make sense that they had Seth Rollins win here. But as a match goes, this match was awesome. I mean, you had a lot of shenanigans going on in this match. I mean, El Grande Americano. I like that spot where he was on the outside of the ring and then he got like slingshot into like a ladder. He ramped a ladder and then this ladder got tipped over onto that fireball ladder, which also I hated all the branding that they were doing. Because like when I saw that fireball ladder earlier in the night, because like I even saw Worlds Collide. Like, watch them have a sponsored ladder. And they did have a sponsored ladder, but it wasn't by like Lowe's or like Home Depot or anything like that. It was by Fireball. I like, what? Fireball. Like whoever, you know, the winner's gonna be climbing that ladder because you know they want to have all their sponsors on the screen and all that, which is I'm tired of seeing all these sponsors in every single match, and even the briefcase has to be sponsored too by Cash App, and I mean TKO they love to get all their sponsor money. What else did we see cool in the match? Penta, he was doing some really good stuff in the match. Of course, like you said, I mean, we had Jacob Fatu doing the turn last night, which I was surprised that I thought they were gonna maybe draw it out a little bit longer, but no, they had Jacob Fatu says, "I hate you Solo," and then he did the spinning solo through this bridge ladder. So I took out Solo for the rest of the match. Of course, we had Seth Rollins' Dangerous Alliance come out. They were wrecking people, you know, spearing people left and right. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of crazy things going down in this match. But yeah, Seth Rollins ends up winning here. I mean, it should have been LA Knight. You know, LA Knight, he was right there. He was right there. You know, I don't know why they didn't give it to him. Like, he's probably just gonna go back down to the mid card and basically kind of acts, you know, basically do nothing with him. But I'm not a fan of that. But yeah, I mean, it was good stuff. But yeah, Seth Rollins won. Leo?
I mean, for this match, I mean, it was really good. I mean, this one, and then this is something that I forgot to mention earlier. Like, if you look at the Money in the Bank, or at least like a lot of these different gimmick style matches, it's always been a thing where the women have outperformed the men. We've seen it in the Chambers in the past. We've seen it in the Royal Rumbles in the past. Even Money in the Banks have as well. But this year, I would say the men have outperformed the women at this one. I feel like they had more of a story beat going throughout the match, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed the different competitors and the different variation of competitors throughout this match as well. But going back to what you were saying with Seth, I don't really like the fact that Seth won. I understand from a storyline perspective of him winning, because from a storyline perspective, it makes sense. He can cash it on Jay, but like, if this is my one thing, this is the one thing with Seth though. If you look at all the competitors in there, if any one of them would have won the Money in the Bank, their best chance of becoming world champion is going to be cashing in on Jey Uso on Raw. The thing with Seth he can get away by not only cashing in either if he chooses Raw, but if you were to go over to SmackDown and choose John Cena. What is John Cena's motto? Ruin wrestling. What is Seth Rollins' motto? He's trying to save wrestling. There's a story right there if you were to do it. But if you wanted to turn back Cena as a face, this would be a great way to do it. A great way to do it. We're almost 10 years to the day where we've seen Seth Rollins defeat John Cena with the help of whatever his name was, but to become US and WWE champion. Who's to say 10 years later he becomes champion again by defeating Cena for the title? But I do
Are you talking
think,
about Jon Stewart, who helped him win?
yeah, Jon Stewart. But I do expect on Raw for him to potentially cash in and become world champion again. Or unfortunately, I hope not, we get a failed cash in. I do not want to see another failed cash in after what happened last year. And the thing is, it's crazy enough to say this. I don't understand what it is with the last 2 years. We were giving the money in the bank to the one guy in these in this lineup that did not necessarily need to win the briefcase. Last year was Drew McIntyre. The two favorites, who were the two favorites? It was Jey Uso and LA Knight. Who did they give it to? Drew McIntyre. The year before that, who was the heavy favorite? LA Knight. Who did they give it to? Damian Priest. And what did they do this year? Who was the heavy favorite? LA Knight. And what happened? Seth Rollins wins the Money in the Bank twice. I don't know what it is with 2025, apparently. 2025 happens to be the year of seconds, apparently. And you know what I mean. And the year of seconds is what's going on with WWE. We start off with January, had Charlotte win the Royal Rumble for her second time. We'll go on to February. What happened? Was it February or March? Because I think they went with the pay-per-view. They don't think they had a pay-per-view in
March.
February,
It was March.
March.
Yeah.
And then what happened in March? Bianca wins the Elimination Chamber for the second time. And then fast forward to Money in the Bank. Literally, Seth Rollins wins the briefcase for the second time.
And it's
What
kind
is
of in
up?
the same situation. It's kind of the same way he kind of won it in 2014. Because, both of those Money Bank matches, he had to
Authority.
have help. Yeah, he had to have the authority. And now he has, Paul Heyman and, of course, Braun Breaker.
It's just I don't
and
understand what it is in 2025 with the year of seconds when a lot of the times they don't need to win a second time. It's okay to win something once, but why? I'm not talking about like a title. It's okay to win titles multiple times, but when it becomes a problem like Charlotte, when it becomes a questionable decision like Rhea sometimes, when we constantly keep going to the well every single time, it becomes a issue. Why is it every time we go to the World Rumble or Chamber, it's people everybody's already seen in the main event scene and already seen compete at WrestleMania in the high profile matches years and years already? Why can't we shift away from your Charlottes, your Biancas, your Baileys, your Beckys, your Rhea Ripleys, and shift it to other wrestlers who can benefit by being put on a stage like WrestleMania, by winning the World Rumble, by winning the Elimination Chamber, having stars like Roxanne, having stars like Liv Morgan, like stars like that who are literally, honestly, the future of your company, and you continue to go back to the world that is those wrestlers that are already named. And when you look at it like that, how do you expect to, how would I put it, gain new fans to your product when they constantly see every single time the same wrestlers in the same big money matches year after year after year after year after year? It becomes repetitive. People tune out, literally. Now, I'm not saying Seth Rollins doesn't deserve to win the Money in the Bank, but it could have went to someone else. And it would kind of suck. Is like I was watching what was it, Money Bank 2023? You know what Triple H said when people asked him about LA Knight? You know what Triple H's words were when the people in the press conference were asking about LA Knight? You know what his response was? He says, and I quote, "I understand LA Knight was the favorite because he was the favorite in 2023. We can all agree. His response was, I know he's a favorite, but good things comes to those who wait. 2 years after he said that, he's in another Money in the Bank match for the 3rd year in a row, where it looked like the stars were going to finally align. Like, why? At this point, and I agree with Byron. It's over.
Yeah, his push is
It's
over.
over.
Like, I'm
We now call him mid card night.
mid card night.
Mid card night. That's what we call him. Mid card night.
And I appreciate Big Rich for bringing this up. You see what they did with Jey Uso this year? I would wish that the WWE would take more risk like that with the women. But unfortunately, we live in a world where it's just repetitive. You look at the past, all of the Royal Rumble winners were all women who have been built up, who were already booked, dominant at that point. 2018, it was Asuka. 2019, it was Becky. 2020, it was Charlotte. 2021, it was Bianca. Bianca was the only exception to somebody new that to the roster, and they actually built up. 2022, Ronda Rousey. 2023, Rhea Ripley. 2024, Bayley. 2025, Charlotte. Do you not see what I'm saying? Do you not see the problem in with the names I just named outside of Bianca? All have been booked to be dominant, already positioned as your top tier players. But what happened? Where are your Alexas? Where are your Livs? Where are your other wrestlers like those two that I just named, and probably others that I might not have named that could benefit by being in spots like that? But they do it? No. They dangle the carrot, of course. But do they actually pull the trigger? No. And that's something I hope and pray that WWE can actually do. Because there's no excuse you have this many talented women on your roster, but you only focus on the names that I've just named to win your Royal Rumbles. That is not elevating your women's division, ladies and gentlemen. That's not elevating your women's division. That is continuously using the same women over and over. And don't get me wrong, some of those women are talented, and you could probably make the case that they deserve to be in those spots. But at the same time, we cannot focus on those same wrestlers all the time. You can find other spots for them, and you can actually make it work. But you can't do that if you don't actually give some of these wrestlers a chance to sink or swim in these situations.
Let's get to the main event. We'll get to the men's King of the Ring in a second as well, because I do want to get to the story heard around the world, Jugs. R-Truth. Well, he's not R-Truth anymore. He is Ron Killings. And for $60 on WWEshop.com, you can have a Ron Killings t-shirt. WWE, I guess they listened to us because they heard the outrage. They bought him back. I guess he's going to be a more serious R or Ron Killings, and maybe he'll help turn Cena back to a good guy. How'd you feel about this match? Cody pinned Cena. So does Cody get a rematch at Night of Champions? Does he win King of the Ring? What are we doing with this whole title run? Because this seems like the most interesting thing that's happened since Cena's turned heel.
Yeah, this match here. And the match was okay. I mean, it was kind of your typical, like, these tag team matches that we've been seeing these last few years at Money in the Bank. We saw a lot of mishaps with Cena and Logan Paul throughout the match. You know, they kind of like they didn't get along through points of the match, so that kind of cost them there. Mm-hmm. We saw this really cool moonsault on the outside of the ring onto the announce table onto Jey Uso. I thought that was cool that Logan Paul did.
I didn't know this table could
break. Yeah, exactly. I still didn't know that table could break, but that was a really cool spot in the match. Of course, you know, the referee was distracted for so long. You know, that's when R-Truth came out, or Ron Killings came out. You know, that they're wearing that hoodie that all wrestlers wear. You know, that stinky old hoodie. You know, that like, oh, who is this guy out here? But yeah, R-Truth is back, or Ron Killings, which is cool. Like the uproar. Like us fans were upset that he got released. Now, did they get released on purpose? I don't know. Like just to bring him back. I don't know. Could be a situation like that. But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting here. But yeah, Cody ends up getting the pin on John Cena. It looks like possibly we're going to be getting a rematch at the WrestleMania rematch at Night of Champions, or that maybe we could save it till WrestleMania. I mean WrestleMania, save it till SummerSlam. But I don't know. It's going to be definitely interesting to see what they do.
Maybe we get another Cena and now Ron Killings match. Leo, how'd you feel about the main event?
I
Truth
mean-
or Ron Killings is back.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not enjoy this main event at all. I didn't. It was just I didn't care. I didn't care about this main event. I didn't. The only thing I actually cared about was seeing R-Truth. R-Truth literally saved that main event for me. Literally. And the fact that you're not calling him R-Truth, we're calling him Ron Killings. Now that is interesting. Because maybe this is a different version of him that maybe we're going to get to see. Maybe a more edgier version of them. Maybe they actually can go all in with him. Now, what we saw on Money in the Bank last night, I enjoyed this. Now, we all know Cody Rhodes is due for a championship opportunity. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to make a bold prediction. I'd say John Cena and Cody Rhodes face each other. John Cena beats him again. And what happens? Who's the one that takes the title from him? R-Truth or Ron Killings, whatever you want to call him. I think Ron Killings is the best guy right now to do that. I think it makes all the sense in the world from a story perspective, a booking perspective. Like, he doesn't even need to hold the title for very long. He doesn't need to hold it for 1,000 days or 600 days or anything like that. He can hold it from the point whenever he drops the title, maybe if it's on the last episode of SmackDown or whatever they show that it's out doing in December, or maybe before then. Maybe he holds it, and then he holds it for maybe like a month and then drops it. You don't have there like we don't necessarily need all the title reigns to be 400, 300, a year, 1,000 days. They don't necessarily need to do that. Sometimes it's not how long you hold the championship, it's what you do within your reign that makes it memorable. You can hold the title for 30 days and it can be memorable. You can hold the title for a week and it could be memorable.
You know what they say? It's the man who makes the title, not the title who makes the man.
Exactly. But I as far as the main event goes, like I said, I didn't care. Glad that Ron Killings is back, and I'm looking forward to what he may have to say or what this may mean for him going forward. I do know that this was not a work. People have been saying this was a work. No, it's not. It's not a work. He actually got released, but the fan backlash is what made them call him back. And one thing is crazy. The reason they did it, and one thing that was made very clear, Triple H was pissed that the fans were crapping on his decisions and stuff like that. Well, if you didn't do stupid booking decisions, we wouldn't be complaining about it. What more do you want? If you give us crappy booking, of course we're going to complain because we want better. We want better for your shows. We want better for these superstars. But you would keep releasing all these talent, and then you got the nerve to go on TV and say, oh, we just reached the biggest gate for this show. Oh, we just signed this wrestler. Okay. Are we supposed to really care? If you don't care, then why should we? That is the easiest way to put this. If you don't care about your superstars, if you don't give us a reason to care about these superstars, we're not going to care. We don't care if this person wins this match because we know how you book these certain wrestlers. We know the ones that you book. We know the ones that you actually give time and invest time into, and we know the ones you just throw by the wayside and only use here and there. and will disappear for 6 months and then ultimately get released. We know. I don't know what more you want.
Yeah, we got Night of Champions in 2 weeks, so we'll get to that as well. Real quick, on the Monday Night Raw side, is we have a big Monday night show tomorrow from Phoenix, Arizona. Of course, we'll be live for that, Jugs. We got, and I'll get you guys' thoughts. Nikki Bella returns. We have King and Queen of the Ring tournaments beginning, Jugs, and as well the main event. Jey Uso puts his World Heavyweight Championship on the line against Gunther. How do you see tomorrow's Raw going? Any bold predictions? Maybe Bailey, like we said. Who wins the World Heavyweight Championship match? Does Nikki Bella? What is she doing? How you feel about Raw tomorrow?
Yeah, so starting off with Nikki Bella, I mean that's cool. She's gonna be on Raw. Maybe she gets into it. Maybe with because I've been hearing rumors that they want to do the Bellas and Liv and Raquel at Evolution, which I want to be surprised if they go that route and watch Liv and Raquel lose the titles there, and then then that's where Liv kind of starts to turn on Raquel a little bit there. I can see that happening. And then with the World Heavyweight Championship match, I'm gonna call it right now. I'm gonna say Seth Rollins cashes in. Seth Rollins cashes in on Jey Uso, furthers him, more of the hate, on Seth Rollins. So yeah, I'm gonna call it right now. Seth Rollins is winning tomorrow night.
Leo, how you feeling about Raw tomorrow? We'll be watching it live.
Yeah, I do expect Seth Rollins to potentially cash in. I do think, like you said, I don't want to see Liv and Raquel versus the Bella Twins. I'm gonna be honest, but it gives them some type of importance because it's like when people think of the women's tag titles, you would think that somebody like the Bella Twins would hold the title. And I kind of think what they are doing is what they did with Rhea last year. Because I think we can all agree when they kicked Rhea out of the Judgment Day, it kind of seemed like that made her an even bigger star. And I feel like they're kind of doing a copy and paste, if you will, with Liv Morgan and having Liv Morgan be kicked out. I do think Raquel stays because you got to think Raquel and Roxanne have history because they were friends back in NXT when Roxanne first came up in the 2.0 era. Roxanne and Raquel were still there, so there's a friendship there. There's a bond there. And who's to say that Raquel's put in a position where she has to pick and choose, and maybe she starts to see that Liv is starting to be more pissed off at her, and maybe feels like if she doesn't need her anymore, and she decides to side with Roxanne, Liv leaves the Judgment Day, becomes a bigger star, and then maybe we'll see potentially if they book it right. I would love to see Io lose the title to potential Roxanne, and then we could do Liv and Roxanne next year. I think that's two big stars in the grand scheme of things when it comes to WrestleMania. So I think if they were to do that, I think I would be all in for it. But we have to see how these qualifying matches play out and who's going to be involved in the tournament. I do expect Liv to potentially be in it. I mean, who's to say that she doesn't I know people might not like the idea, but she could still win it. She does not say she's not gonna probably defend the title at a Champions, but it will be at none other than Evolution. She can win the tournament. It could be a situation where maybe Liv is solely focused on the world title that she's forgetting about the tag titles, and that's where Raquel starts to be a little upset that she's not putting all her focus or trying to be evenly focused and trying to put some type of effort in trying to regain the tag titles, and that costs them. Then I could see them doing that.
So who you have with the main event tomorrow, Leo? I know Jugs has Seth cashing in. How you
I
see
have
that
Seth.
playing out?
I have Seth potentially cashing in. Maybe Jay narrowly escapes Gunther, and then there comes Seth, comes out to cash and become world champion in Raw.
Do we see possibly the OTC tomorrow? Is Roman going to show up to work before?
I could see
Because he's going to be. He's in Saudi because the Saudi prince wants Roman, so Roman has to show up, right?
He has to, but my thing is this: if they do that, if Roman shows up, it's easy to say that what's going to happen. It's going to be a failed cash in. Honestly, I don't really want to see that. But if they do that, then it happens. You can definitely use that whole failed cash in to propel the feud, even though it doesn't need propelling. it's Seth and Roman that we're talking about here. They don't need that to happen.
Jugs, anything on that?
Yeah, I don't want to see Roman kind of get involved with the whole, that main event, costing Seth or having a fail cash him. Because I want them to have successful cash in here, and I want them to get rid of these money banks as quick as possible. Because I'm kind of with the same way as Triple H and stuff. Because and if you have Triple H kind of lean towards the way, like what's going to make us want to have all these money banks. So I mean, I'm kind of leaning the same way with him, but yeah, I want them to get these briefcases out of the way as quick as possible. But
Just put it back on WrestleMania. One on one night, one on the other.
yeah, exactly. Or to be honest, I don't think they need to have two for men and women, but that's just me.
I think with the whole Money Bank thing, I would love it to be back on Mania, just because it gives opportunities for more wrestlers from both men and women to be featured at WrestleMania, giving wrestlers that WrestleMania moment, which I thoroughly enjoy. But I understand at the same time, Money in the Bank is like one of their bigger shows at this point, so they probably wouldn't scrap it, even though Triple H made it very clear
they're not scrapping it. No,
they're not going to
because
scrap
next year it's after SummerSlam. Everybody, it's the end of August. So
yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. I was thinking about going to New Orleans, even because it's only one night. Hopefully, WWE don't get any broad ideas and make it 2 nights, because we don't need that at all. But if they would have added to Mania, we could do a male on one night and a female on the other. Bada bing, bada boom. You
Speaking
have more
about it,
catches at WrestleMania.
I don't know if you know, Leo. Today is Lil Morgan's birthday.
I did not. But now I know.
How do you know this? You live more than
how do you not know
I'm
that?
just kidding. I'm just kidding. I know. Oh, happy birthday, Liv Morgan. Even though you're not going to see this, happy 31st birthday from me to you.
Gosh. How can I keep up with you, Leo? What you cooking up on your channel?
Yeah, so my channel is Kickin It with Leo, you guys. I do wrestling content. More content will be on the way. We got Raw tomorrow night. We got SmackDown this week. AEW 4 hours, apparently. SmackDown this week. Tune in on Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central Standard Time. Myself, Jugs, and Rated M Wrestling. I got the confirmation that he will be available 7:30 Eastern Standard Time before AEW. So we don't have to be in a rush because it's 4 hours. So we're not going to be in a big rush to get to AEW. But myself, Jugs, and Rated M will be talking Royal Rumble 2026. We will be talking about who we have winning the matches, booking the card in and everything like that. Who we have potentially moving on to WrestleMania. A lot of interesting fantasy booking coming very, very soon. So you guys want to stay tuned because it's going to be good.
Appreciate you as always, Leo, and the one and only Juggernaut Show.
Yes, you guys can go subscribe to my channel, The Juggernaut Show. Got a lot of wrestling content coming out this week. Got some reactions coming out. I got a vlog this Saturday. I'm going to Wrestling Revolver. I'm going to go to some indie wrestling. So definitely stay tuned for those. And yeah, got some more live streams coming up. And on the grind here. On the grind.
Yes, as always, follow us. Check out Kicking It with Leo, Gaming, Horror, Pro Wrestling, of course, The Juggernaut Show, repping that key. Chiefs Kingdom. Shout out to Brother Thoughts. Shout out to Big Red. Shout out to Die Sporting Net. Shout out to D. What's up, Raj? Again, Big Reg. Everybody in chat. Scott was in the building. Eric. I don't want to miss anybody. King Gecka. Eric. Shout out to all you guys. So make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, vote on the poll, hit the subscribe button, go to Leo and Jug's channel, do the same. We're putting the kids to bed Sunday night. I think it's an ugly game. I don't even know the score of the game.
Yeah, there's an ugly game. Yeah, I
okay.
It is a
68 to 54. Game. So you're not watching that terrible game. Watch us if you haven't, or you're just joining us. Rewind it back. We got an hour of great talk. Worlds collide. We talked about WrestleMania going back to Vegas. We talked about the R-Truth situation. We talked about King and Queen of the Ring predictions and maybe how does Raw go tomorrow with some of the announcements, Evolution, SummerSlam. So check us out. Great discussion. We try to do this after each WWE and AEW, PLEN pay-per-view. But Night of Champions is the next event. But tomorrow's a big Raw from Phoenix. World Heavyweight Championship match. King and Queen of the Ring matches start Nikki Bella, and I'm sure some other things that won't be announced. So join us live tomorrow for Monday Night Raw. For Leo and Jugs, thank you guys for watching. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button, hit the bell. We'll see you when we see you. Peace.
Deuces, Zeus's.
Yeet.